Welcome back to Building Together. Today we're reviewing another Harry Potter set.
Yeah, we are. This time it's the Shrieking Shack, and this was, I thought, a really cool set when they released the images for the summer wave, and stood out to me as a potential set. It's been a while since they released a Shrieking Shack set. It's been, I forget how many years, drawing a blank, but it was a long time ago, and a lot of pieces have changed. A lot of set design has changed. So this one I thought was going to be a nice execution.
Yeah, I was really excited about the Shrieking Shack. I never saw the previous Shrieking Shack, so I was definitely excited about it. And we got it, we built it, and we're a little disappointed, I think.
It was a little underwhelming. I like the shack. I think that's well done. I don't know what's going on with the Whomping Willow. I'm going to be honest with you. In the movie, the Whomping Willow isn't next to the shack. It's on the grounds of Hogwarts. I don't think you need the Shrieking or the Whomping Willow to be a part of the Shrieking Shack. They've already released Whomping Willow sets recently that were included as part of Hogwarts. And so I honestly...
But that's how Ron gets to the Shrieking Shack, is through the Whomping Willow.
But the set is the Shrieking Shack. You're at the Shrieking Shack. You don't need the Whomping Willow if you're already at the Shrieking Shack.
So it actually has the whole play feature of where Sirius is attacking Ron and trying to get Scabbers, and you can flip Hermione around on the Whomping Willow, which I think is actually kind of fun.
That's cool, but it's a very small tree. It doesn't look intimidating. It looks bare. It's like the first 25% of the tree, and it's a complete add-in to the set. I mean, the feature here, moving from right to left on the screen, this is nice. You've got a glow-in-the-dark moon piece that they use with clouds that allows you to rotate to go from Lupin, the professor, to Lupin the werewolf. I think that's fine. That's a scene that takes place right there at the Shrieking Shack. The Whomping Willow is not there. You have to go in a complete underground tunnel that takes a bit of walking. Because remember, you're going from Hogwarts to Hogsmeade. And this is just the Shrieking Shack on the outskirts of Hogsmeade. I don't know why they felt the need to include the Whomping Willow. They could have taken those pieces and made this feature a bit more substantive. It is kind of like weird it's nice, but it's a little small. They could have improved that. They could have done more with the Shrieking Shack itself, with the pieces, or they could have just reduced the cost.
So for the price point of this set, they're trying to do too much with the Whomping Willow and the werewolf changing feature and the shack all into one set.
I don't know about that. I would say that for what they're doing is there's a section of the set that's roughly like 100 pieces or so that's unnecessary. And they could have either reduced the price or they could have added those pieces to another part of the set to make that part better.
I definitely disagree with you on the Whomping Willow not being relevant to the set. But I do see that it's definitely not their best Whomping Willow.
No, I don't think it's anywhere near that, and it feels just like a cheap add-in for play features. When you already have play features in the set, you have a really nice entryway here to the Shrieking Shack itself that allows people to kind of sneak into the side without having to go through the front door. You have this play feature here. You've got stuff to recreate the scene on the inside. We'll show you that here. That takes place during the movie itself. I mean, again, the Whomping Willow, in my opinion, not necessary for the Shrieking Shack. For the overall story arc of the set, yeah, I get that, but not for this particular set. You already have a Whomping Willow in recent sets. Focus on the Shrieking Shack.
Okay, so how about the build?
The build was actually pretty fun. I didn't love building the Whomping Willow, but for a tree, there were some interesting components to it. Again, I think the feature or the main element of the set is the shack itself. And if you are curious about the Shrieking Shack, this won't disappoint you. I thought the build was fun. There's some really cool techniques. I love what they do with the icicles, for instance, and how they vary that. The windows, I think, are pretty well done. The way that they construct the middle part of the dormers here is nice. And, of course, the Shrieking Shack is this rickety building that's, kind of legendary for, all the shrieks, the sounds and whatnot, of course, stemming from when Lupin was staying there during his monthly werewolf episodes. But they do a nice job. They have these hinge pieces here that allow you to that the building doesn't rotate. It's rotated on two hinges here that locks it into place. I thought that was really nice. I like how it's elevated a brick up off of the white plates that represent snow, so you get a little bit of rock, a little bit of wood foundation. I like that. And finally, the build. One of the fun parts was the chimney. It's all snot work. Usually on these kinds of sets, you see classically, bricks packed on top of one another for the chimney. This one, it's completely flipped on its side, allows you to get some nice angles that look pretty seamless. They do use some stickers, I think, to nice effect there. So that part of the build, fantastic.
When looking at it, it does remind me of the Fishing Shack set a little bit with its kind of, rustic nature. But if I were to compare it to like Hogsmeade Village, it feels kind of unfinished. So you mentioned the chimney having this nice knotwork, but then you just see the back of the plate there. And you mentioned this door, but this whole side just kind of looks not as sharp and smooth and finished as a lot of the more modern Lego sets do.
And I love your point there about the Hogsmeade. In 2021, the Hogsmeade set I thought was the highlight of the Harry Potter releases that year. I gave it a 10 out of 10. You can check out that review. But this I thought was going to be that kind of set. I thought this was going to be the 2022's version of Hogsmeade, and there were some really nice parts to this. And you're right. I think it's a little bit unfinished. I honestly take the pieces from the Whomping Willow, invest them in the Shrieking Shack, and I think you pull off a real nice building that would rival those of Hogsmeade. And since this is on the outskirts of Hogsmeade, it would fit into the diorama really nicely without having a Whomping Willow that's I don't know how many kilometers away in setting it up. It's like you have to remove it. But to remove it, you'd have to remove this angled plate right here to get it away from this play feature here. It's poor execution.
You could, though, this removes quite easily.
Yeah.
And you could move that aside.
But you want the moon and the clouds and, for the play feature of Lupin, I think that's, relevant. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a somewhat incomplete, nearly complete. It's not far off, but somewhat incomplete version of the Shrieking Shack compared to the Hogsmeade sets last year. Now, what do you think about the minifigs?
So the minifigs are actually really fun. We have, of course, your big three. You've got Ron, Harry, and they're in street clothes, so that's kind of nice. You're not just another one in their robes. The adults are not overdone. We have Sirius here, who's not in a ton of sets, and he's got his ripped clothing on both the back and the front. He's got this nice hair. We've got Lupin over here, and Peter Pettigrew. All minifigs we don't see a ton of in Harry Potter, so it's nice to get those. And I feel like all the main characters are there. And of course we have the werewolf as well, which is great.
Yeah, I think the minifigs have perhaps the best room to shine in this, but I also think it's a little disappointing, and I'll explain why in just a moment. You do get your big three, and they are instrumental to this entire scene, so I get that. But it is kind of interesting that you just, more Rons, Hermione's. By the way, Lego just does not do a good job with any Hermione. I've never seen a Hermione that just looks like Hermione. I think Ron and Harry, they do a fantastic job with overall. The Sirius figure is similar, if not identical, to the one that comes in the Sirius Escape set that came out this summer as well. And the Hermione is an identical version of the one in the hospital wing that came out in March. So not brand new territory there, but as Julia mentioned, the Peter Pettigrew is a fantastic figure, and I think it's new to the set. The werewolf is the first time we've seen a werewolf since, I think, a pretty subpar attempt at the last Shrieking Shack set. And again, that was a long time ago. I think it was like 15 years ago. So a lot has changed in terms of Lego printing and their accuracy in some of the minifigs. Also, the dog. So the Grim or Sirius Animagus, version is a new piece. The way it's designed and printed, so that's nice as well. There is one glaring omission.
You didn't mention Scabbers.
They do have Scabbers. Scabbers is not new. It comes out in a lot of Harry Potter sets. But yeah, they do have Scabbers, which I think completes it. I think you've got the Animagus version of 2 important characters. And so that's a good point. But there is a glaring omission. Snape. He plays an instrumental part of the set. You've got this upstairs scene here with the piano where you can recreate what's going on. But there's no Snape. And again, you think of what they could have done if they got rid of the Whomping Willow. You include a Snape or you put a few pieces into this to make it a little bit more complete. And I think the set goes significantly higher in what's going to be my rating. So, opportunity wasted.
Well, I guess that gives them an opening to do a new Shrieking Shack in another 5 years.
We'll see, yeah.
All right, so overall impression, a little disappointed. Our building techniques are decent.
Yeah.
But tell me about the pieces.
There are some really nice elements to this. If you like dark brown, this set comes with a lot. It's got 1x1 circles, it's got some arches, it's got a lot of 1x1 round plates, and for the first time, it's got 1x2x3 window inserts in them. So it's the first time it's coming. It comes with 8. These windows here in dark tan with the dark brown inserts, I think look great, except there's a little like dimple on the window piece that is very reminiscent of some of the issues they had back in 2007 when they came out with the cafe corner. They had these little bubbles in the large windows, or like a dimple where it was like disconnected from the mold. Same thing happens here. So I like those pieces. I think they're great. I look forward to seeing them in more sets. But, man, this is a little quality control issue on that. Other nice pieces include some dark tan. You've got this triangle piece over here that's in dark tan for the first time. You've got these Nexonite triangle shields that come in dark tan for the first time. And, you've got some nice dark tan modified bricks. So there are some nice ones. Oh, and there's also this dark metallic gray chest in the first level here. First time we've seen the chest in that color. So some really nice parts to it. But even then, some quality control issues with those window elements, and that's a problem.
So that brings us to our rating. Colin, what's your number?
We got these lovely stacks of Duplo bricks that we use, and I was originally considering giving this an 8, but in the span of our discussion, I'm knocking it down yet another one. I'm going with a 7 out of 10 on this set because of some of the deficiencies that we talked about earlier. It's a nice set. The potential's there. The execution is close, but I don't think it matches the standards of the 2021 Harry Potter sets, especially the Hogsmeade set.
That's so funny that you said that, because that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, going into this video, I was like, I'm going to give it an 8. And then as we're talking, I'm like, no, I'm going to knock it down to a 7. So I likewise am going to give it a 7.
There we go. 7's up.
Which averages out to a nice even 7.
I can do that mental math. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it helped you if you were considering buying this set. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and like this video. Finally, always remember, everyone,
Keep building together.